2023 has been quite the year for pro wrestling. We're a little over halfway through the year, so let's take a look back at the past 7 months and see which wrestlers have been making the most of their year so far. I'm not going to waste too much of your time right now, let's just get right into it. Give this video a like, and hey, maybe subscribe to the channel. You know, it's only a little red button. It won't hurt you. Okay, anyways, hope you enjoy the video. Honorable mentions: Will Ospreay, Mercedes Moné, LA Knight, yeah, Carmelo Hayes, and Orange Cassidy. I don't watch New Japan and NXT too often, but I do keep up with it a little bit, so I know Mercedes Moné and Carmelo Hayes have both been really impressive. And Will Ospreay has had 2 Match of the Year contenders, so I gotta show him some love too. LA Knight has been getting over huge with the fans, but other than a couple of wins here and there, he hasn't really gotten much done. Hoping that changes later this year. And finally, Orange Cassidy, he hasn't had like an actual feud, just a long story of, man, how is this guy still going and defending his title? He gives anyone who wants a shot at his international championship a shot, and he ends up having a great match with whoever he's in the ring with. Orange Cassidy is a great champion, and if this was a top 11 list, he would be on it for sure. Number 10, Seth Rollins. He's a visionary, a revolutionary. He's Seth freaking Rollins, and he's had a pretty solid 2023 so far. To start off the year, he made it to the Final 4 of the Royal Rumble before being eliminated by Logan Paul. Rollins would later compete in the United States Championship Elimination Chamber match and nearly won the US title, but once again, Logan Paul would crush his dreams. Seth Rollins and Logan Paul would have a match at WrestleMania 39, and Logan finally got what was coming to him. Even with the help of a prime bottle KSI, Logan Paul wasn't able to ruin this WrestleMania moment for Seth Rollins. Fans began to sing Rollins' song louder and louder as the weeks went by. After a random match with Omos at Backlash, Rollins would make it to the finals of a tournament to crown the new World Heavyweight Champion. He faced off against SmackDown's AJ Styles at Night of Champions and would bring home the new title to Monday Night Raw. He's been trying to make the new world title feel as important as possible, defending it on Monday Night Raw against Damian Priest and even on NXT against Braun Breaker. He is currently in a feud with the Judgment Day and has already defeated Finn Balor at Money in the Bank. Soon he'll defend his World Heavyweight Championship against Balor once again at SummerSlam. A WrestleMania victory and becoming the first World Heavyweight Champion is a good way to land yourself on a list like this. Now, sing his song. Wait, not yet. There's still a lot of the video left. Number 9, Bryan Danielson. In the first few months of 2023, Bryan Danielson began feuding with MJF over the AEW Championship. The two would have a 60-minute Iron Man match at AEW Revolution in early March. Before we get to that though, MJF forced Danielson to have a match every week leading up to Revolution. Danielson would have to win every match to actually receive his title shot. Bryan Danielson would have great matches against Bandito, Takeshita, Timothy Thatcher, and Brian Cage, and also Roosh before the big Iron Man match. At Revolution, MJF and Bryan Danielson went the full 60 minutes with both men having 3 falls each. MJF used an oxygen tank to gain the upper hand during sudden death overtime. Bryan would tap out to MJF in the end of probably the best Iron Man match ever. Later that month, he would return to AEW, and he put a beat down on Kenny Omega. Danielson has only had 2 matches since his 65-minute long bout with MJF, but what a crazy couple of matches they were. At Double or Nothing, Bryan, along with the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club, defeated the Elite in an Anarchy in the Arena match. Then the American Dragon would challenge none other than Kazuchika Okada to a match at Forbidden Door. Okada and Danielson had a battle for the ages, but the match was wrapped up quick after Danielson broke his arm mid-match. He said in the post-show media scrum that he didn't get to do all that he planned, but hey, he made the Rainmaker tap out, which is an incredible accomplishment, and we might just see a rematch between the two down the line. Number 8, Cody Rhodes. In this year's Men's Royal Rumble, Cody Rhodes returned from injury at number 30. He would win the match and go on to WrestleMania, where he could finish his story by defeating Roman Reigns and winning the WWE Championship and, you know, I guess also the Universal Championship too. But Cody did not seem to have enough adrenaline in his soul because he did not win the WWE title. A large portion of the audience were fooled into thinking that this was where Roman Reigns would lose his titles and a new champion would be crowned. In my humble little opinion, Cody should have won this match. The story was right there. The great return at last year's WrestleMania, the 3 matches with Seth Rollins, competing inside Hell in a Cell with a torn pec, returning just in time for the Royal Rumble and winning the damn thing. It all lined up perfectly. Apparently Cody needs a more thrilling path to the top. I guess it would have just been too easy to have Cody win the WWE title at WrestleMania. After the Mania loss, Cody would be blindsided by Brock Lesnar for, reasons. The two would have an okay main event match at Backlash. Cody fought Brock again at Night of Champions, this time with his broken arm in a titanium cast. And after a quick Dom pit stop at Money in the Bank, Cody and Brock are about to have their rubber match at SummerSlam. Cody would definitely be higher on this list if his feud with Brock was a bit better and, you know, if he actually won his really important match at WrestleMania. Oh well, there's always next year. Number 7, Gunther. The Ring General Gunther. Want to make one of your mid-card titles look better than it has in years? Then strap that bad boy onto a competitor like Gunther. In the Royal Rumble match, Gunther entered at number 1 and made it all the way to the final 2 before being eliminated by Cody Rhodes. Although he didn't win, he put on one hell of a performance. He had a hard-hitting brawl with entrant number 2 Sheamus, and had almost a full wrestling match with Rhodes before being eliminated. He spent over 70 minutes in the Royal Rumble, and now holds the record for the longest time spent in a 30-man Royal Rumble match. The big moments did not stop there, though. At WrestleMania, Gunther defended his Intercontinental Championship against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. These three put on what could possibly be the match of the year. Three tough dudes just hitting the hell out of each other. Gunther would retain his title after wiping out both Sheamus and Drew. As of this recording, Gunther has held the Intercontinental title for over 400 days. He's defended the title against the likes of Braun Strowman, Rey Mysterio, Mustafa Ali, and Matt Riddle. If he defeats Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam to keep the gold, there's no doubt he'll surpass Honky Tonk Man as the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. Number 6, Judgment Day. Okay, this is kind of cheating, but I think each member of the Judgment Day have had a pretty good year so far, and they deserve a mention on this list. Starting with Dirty Dominic Mysterio. He's been getting loud reactions in every arena he steps into. All the boos pouring down, forcing him to have mommy speak for him. He has a character now. He's not just Rey Mysterio's son. He had a match against his dad at Mania, and just a couple of weeks ago, he won the NXT North American Championship by defeating Wes Lee. Moving on to Finn Balor, he hasn't had a super great year, but he's competed in some notable matches. Him and Rhea Ripley had a fun mixed tag match at Elimination Chamber against Edge and Beth Phoenix. Then at WrestleMania, he brought back his demon persona to face Brood Edge inside Hell in a Cell. He was involved in the World Heavyweight title tournament and challenged Seth Rollins for the title at Money in the Bank. Unfortunately though, all the matches I just listed, he's lost. He probably shouldn't be on this list, but like I said, I think all the Judgment Day members should be mentioned. Now Damian Priest has had a pretty good past few months. From having a fantastic San Juan street fight with Bad Bunny and becoming Senor Money in the Bank. There could be an argument made for Priest being the leader of the Judgment Day. And last but certainly not least, we have Rhea Ripley. Kind of the opposite of Damian Priest. She was on fire the first few months of 2023. She became the first woman to win the Royal Rumble from the number 1 spot. Then she went on to have one of the best matches at WrestleMania 39, facing Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Rhea beat Flair to win the SmackDown Women's Championship, and she also avenged her loss to Charlotte from WrestleMania a few years back. The SmackDown Women's title ended up becoming the World Women's title, and Rhea Ripley still holds the gold to this day. Her run with the title hasn't been too exciting. She had a good match with Zelina Vega at Backlash, only to then squash Natalya at Night of Champions. Hopefully her reign picks up some steam, but overall I'd say her, as well as Judgment Day, have had a pretty solid year. Number 5, Sami Zayn. Heading into 2023, Sami Zayn was a key part of WWE's biggest storyline in years. After defeating Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns and the rest of the Bloodline continued the assault on KO after the match. The Tribal Chief was going to force Sami Zayn to hit his former best friend with a steel chair. However, the Honorary Uce decided to nail Roman right in the back with the chair instead. The reaction was insane. And soon after, Sami Zayn would get a world title match at Elimination Chamber in his home of Montreal, Canada. The crowd were on fire and hopes were high for Sami Zayn to be the one to dethrone the head of the table. Sadly, due to some Uso drama, Roman would beat Sami Zayn and remain champion. The story wasn't finished yet though. After Jey Uso betrayed Sami on an episode of Raw, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn would team up to challenge the Usos for their undisputed tag team titles in the main event of Night 1 at WrestleMania. After many super kicks and many haluva kicks, Sami Zayn would win the tag team titles with his best friend Kevin Owens. All 4 men also got involved in Night 2's main event, but it didn't stop Roman from once again retaining his titles. While winning the tag titles was a huge deal for Zayn and Owens, their reign has just been, kind of okay. They had a trios match at Backlash and then would defend their titles against the Bloodline Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. With some Bloodline drama unfolding, Sami and KO would retain their titles. They've gone on to have matches against Imperium and Pretty Deadly. Sami Zayn has had a pretty eventful year so far, but it definitely has cooled down a bit. Hopefully Kevin Owens' injury won't derail the two's second half of the year. Number 4, MJF. After winning the AEW title in late 2022, Maxwell Jacob Friedman continued his reign into 2023 and is currently still AEW champion. As mentioned earlier, he and Bryan Danielson had an all-timer 60-minute Iron Man match where MJF proved he can hang with the greatest of pro wrestlers. He would then be challenged by the other three pillars of AEW for his world title, and while the build to the match felt a bit off, the Four Pillars Fatal 4-Way at Double or Nothing was super good. It's in my top 5 matches of the year so far, that's for sure. Everybody put on their A game, and at the end of it all, the Devil prevailed, retaining his AEW championship with a headlock takeover. Just fantastic stuff. MJF got called out by Adam Cole, and the two had a pretty good match on Dynamite. It went to a time limit draw, and MJF would not give Adam Cole 5 extra minutes. MJF would have an okay match against Hiroshi Tanahashi at Forbidden Door. Tons of heel shenanigans, but nothing too crazy. Recently on Dynamite, MJF has been teaming with Adam Cole as part of a random pairing tag team eliminator tournament, which we're now seeing both men match after match getting closer and closer together. Adam Cole even said MJF was one of his best friends now, so ooh. Better Than You, Baby are set to challenge FTR for the tag titles on Collision this Saturday, but win or lose, MJF has promised Adam Cole a shot at his AEW world title because he knows how much it means to him. Isn't that nice? I love this story. I'm gonna be so sad when something goes wrong and their friendship is ruined, but you best believe the match is gonna kick ass. MJF has had a good year so far, a couple of misses but some really big hits. Number 3, Kenny Omega. Speaking of big hits, it's time for the best bout machine to get some love. Kenny Omega, without a doubt, probably has had the best year in ring-wise. He has had so many amazing matches this year, and if this list was just based off in-ring quality alone, Omega would be number 1 for sure. He started off the year with 2 absolute bangers. He and Will Ospreay had a wonderful match for the IWGP United States title at Wrestle Kingdom, which Omega won. Then he and the Bucks won the AEW Trios titles by defeating Death Triangle in a best-of-7 series, the final match being Escalera de la Muerte. That's just January. In March, the Elite would lose the Trios titles to the House of Black at Revolution. The match was great, and it's another contender for my favorite matches of the year. Kenny and the Bucks would start a rivalry with the BCC, which led to some amazing matches. Omega vs. Moxley inside of a steel cage on Dynamite was bonkers. Kenny Omega almost destroyed his leg after a V-trigger that broke the cage wall down. That match also saw Don Callis betray Kenny Omega by stabbing him in the head with a screwdriver. Hangman Adam Page would reunite with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and they would take on the Blackpool Combat Club in an Anarchy in the Arena match. That match was insane, and the Elite would have another crack at the BCC, but before that, we had Forbidden Door. Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay 2. This match was fantastic. It was bloody, it was intense, it had just the right amount of Don Callis, thankfully. Words can't describe how good this match was. Match of the year, and I might be getting ahead of myself, but probably, maybe, match of the decade. We'll see how the next 6 years go. Kenny Omega lost his United States title, but we have one more match to talk about. AEW Blood and Guts. Kenny Omega brings Kota Ibushi to AEW, and the Golden Elite take on the BCC along with Pac and Takeshita. Broken glass, thumbtacks, a steel chain, and even a bed of nails. This match was brutal, and the Golden Elite picked up the win. Kenny has had a stellar year so far, and that's not even mentioning his 2 matches with El Hijo del Vikingo and a few other trios matches. The matches were top notch, the stories were pretty good, but there's one story in pro wrestling that just keeps on going. Number 2, Roman Reigns. Reigns was a bit tricky to place on this list. He has had 5 televised matches and he hasn't defended his title since WrestleMania. However, his reign has reached over 1,000 days and everything he does is basically must-see. As much as I prefer my quality matchups and defending champions, I can't deny Roman's incredible run. The Sami Zayn story that took place through most of 2022 and ended in early 2023, his huge match with Cody at WrestleMania, the current story with him and the Usos, we saw the Bloodline Civil War take place. Every moment Roman has had in 2023, while limited, have been big moments. Why else would he get 30 plus minutes every segment? He's just that guy. But there's someone else that just might have had a more standout year. Number 1, Jey Uso. Everything Roman has done, Jey, as well as Jimmy and Solo, have been there as well. You can argue while that Roman is the star of the show, Jey Uso is the one we're all paying attention to. The start of the year saw Jey finally accept Sami as the honorary Uso, then the heartbreak as he had to choose either standing up to Roman or to side with family. He chose family, but he and Jimmy would lose the tag titles at WrestleMania 39. As the weeks went by, we saw Roman talk down to the Usos. Jimmy was the first to break, but yet we were all wondering what Jey would do. Jey sided with his brother Jimmy and split from the Bloodline, and we got the Bloodline Civil War. At Money in the Bank, the Usos were able to defeat Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, with Jey being the one to pin Roman's shoulders to the mat. The first person to pin Roman since late 2019, 3.5 years. Now we know that at SummerSlam it will be Jey Uso once again challenging his cousin Roman Reigns for his gold. This time the stakes are higher, it's trial by combat. The Bloodline story started with Jey and Roman, and there's a chance, a small chance, it might end with Jey and Roman. So far in 2023, we've seen an historic tag title reign end, emotions displayed for all to see, and the rise of a potential new undisputed WWE Universal Champion in Jey Uso. It may be time for Roman Reigns to step aside and let the next tribal chief stand tall. There you have it. Remember, it's just my opinion. I tried my best with logic and reasoning to make a solid top 10 list here. Do you disagree? You probably do, so let me know your top 10 wrestlers of the year so far in the comments. I'd say the top 4 are a bit interchangeable. If you want match quality, MJF and Kenny Omega would be the top 2. But overall, the Bloodline story is huge, and the matches we've gotten out of it haven't been too bad either. Thank you all for watching this video. Let me know some other top 10s you'd like to see. This Sunday, I'll be posting my tier list of every NXT champion, so stay tuned for that. And also be sure to subscribe and like the video, you know, all that stuff. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.